24.
I heard they visit once a year. And I did hear Ronnie had a stroke, so he may have some restrictions traveling, like maybe he's on oxygen or, who knows what could be going on. But I think they do FaceTime visits. So like, RC, how does that work with tablets? Do they get the tablets whenever they want, or is it certain hours they get to use their tablet?
I can actually tell you that they don't have tablets yet in his prison. I researched it, and they're coming, but he doesn't have them yet.
Good. Yeah, we didn't have tablets when I retired. Thankfully, I would guess that it would be along the lines of how a lot of these places do virtual court appearances anymore, and that really ramped up during COVID.
Right.
And where I live, I've actually set in on some, on the other side, virtual court appearances broadcast from the local state penitentiary here. I've had access to view them, through the legal side here and seen how they work. I'm going to guess their visitation's probably set up that way where they dial in almost like a Zoom call. Supervised, though.
Why show up anyway? If it's no contact, why go anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Just that was typically more of a local visitor thing. Most of the time, our inmates were placed on non-contact visitation status if they were under disciplinary segregation.
Do we know if Chris's is non-contact?
From what
actually, there was a picture. There was a contact because we have a picture of Ronnie and Cindy and Chris on that January visit. So
yeah, I do know it says visit type on the document I requested, and I have seen before where it will say video visit, it will say phone call, and it will just say contact for actual face-to-face contact.
That makes sense.
So. Yeah, I mean, by the looks of this, I have to think it's a girlfriend.
Probably some fangirl. Yeah. The mentality I've never understood. Not throwing shade, I just don't understand what's in it for these ladies who get involved with that. But
it does make me wonder if she herself, and I have been, doing background on her, but I don't plan to do a video. I'm not, looking to shame her. But I wonder if she has her own past criminal background and maybe reached out to Chris saying, hey, I know what you're going through. I was locked up once, but it also could just be a total normal woman, who's thought it was attractive and wrote to him. We've seen that happen too.
Likely, I would say. Usually, if they would have a hardcore criminal background and they're not family, then they wouldn't be allowed to enter the facility to visit. So, likely just some sort of infatuation with a bad boy. Everybody wants a bad boy until they do bad stuff to them, in my opinion.
Well, do you think he could possibly be a reporter or a writer?
I don't think so, because I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't spend my Christmas with Chris Watts. Even if I was writing a book on it.
Was it on Christmas?
I think so. I think it was.
Oh, yeah, it was. 12.
And I want to say it was either Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, which most people are spending their Thanksgiving right with their family, and maybe going to a movie after the day after or something, and they have traditions. Yeah. So that's why I'm leaning towards girlfriend personally.
And why is there only one visit in December? I think maybe she doesn't live close because or she traveled in December because there's only one visit.
I think she moved closer because do you see, I don't have the sheet in front of me, but
it's right in front of us right here.
Yeah, it's hard for me to read that, but she did visit like 3 times in February. And the only reason it goes up to February, I had to have a cutoff. So I'm going to do another request, which it might take 3 months to get back, but I'll do February to June so we can kind of see what's going on. But she visits in a time frame where it would be way too expensive to rent a hotel, to have that gap. So I'm leaning towards she maybe moved to the area.
Well, Banfield
that would make
reported
sense.
that she wants to get married. He wants to get remarried, which I mean took me by complete shock. What do you think about him getting remarried, you guys?
I think it's heartbreaking that Chris gets to feel all of these feelings again, you know, like the butterflies and these feelings that Shanann will never have the opportunity to feel again. And I feel that is the greatest freedom for him.
Well, he didn't apparently even really know what love was unless he discovered that inside somehow. So I don't know why he'd want to do it again. There are ladies who like to marry these guys to get benefits too. That is, I live in a prison town. I grew up in a prison town. There's a whole subset.
Would they get?
They can, well, like in this town, some of them were living in 2-bedroom apartments for which they were charged $47 a month. Benefits like that. They qualify for some of that. Yeah, they built an apartment complex here for
I don't
that.
know this, but do inmates, I mean, I know they have some type of health insurance, but if your spouse gets locked up, are you on that insurance as well? I'm sure it's not very great insurance by any means, but that's something I've always wondered about too. Okay.
No, they are.
So it's not like that kind of benefit where she would more maybe a for show benefit, like, hey, I'm married to Chris.
It is, and they can get certain welfare benefits because the family income is below a certain level, and then you look at SNAP benefits, Medicaid, things like that, due to a poverty level because, you know, they may have a limited income and the spouse is locked up. Although I do believe some states, and I'm not very well versed in this, have clamped down on that stuff due to that reason for people marrying guys who are already serving a life sentence, whom they didn't know on the outside, just so they could, you know, get benefits.
I'll be right back, guys. I got to grab my phone charger. Hold on.
Michelle wants to know, how does Chris even get to have a girlfriend and want to get married in prison? And then, okay, no, we have put 2 and 2 together. Ashley Banfield is reporting that he wants to get remarried. And we have this Lizzie Owl that has been burning up the visitation with him. So